Why am I gonna cry about this? Stop. Did Peeta hear Katniss have her whole breakdown with Buttercup over Prim and then carry her up to her bedroom after she cried herself out? Is that what happened? Thank you to this commenter and a few other people for bringing this up. I never interpreted it like this, but now I really see it. This is all based on book canon as usual. So end of Mockingjay, when Buttercup comes home and Katniss sobs and sobs until eventually she falls unconscious. And then she says, hours later, when I come to in my bed, he's there in the moonlight, as in Buttercup, crouched beside her, guarding her from the night. So I always read this as, she passed out on the floor and then kind of in a haze, she went upstairs. I've been there where I don't quite remember getting into my bed after freaking out, crying on the floor. Just girly things. Or it's just kind of a time jump. She got up from the floor eventually and then she fell asleep in her bed and then this is her waking up in the bed. So that's what I always thought. But it is very possible Peeta carried her up there. He carried her up the stairs many a time in Catching Fire. So now I'm thinking Peeta could hear Katniss when this was happening. They're neighbors. We know he'd been outside doing some yard work. Or maybe she was just crying so loud he could hear her from inside his house. There's not much noise going on. It's a pretty empty place. When she's describing the crying, it's a new sound, part crying, part singing, comes out of my body, giving voice to my despair. Buttercup begins to wail as well. So it could have been pretty noisy. Peeta heard this. Maybe he just kind of like lurked through the window, not wanting to interrupt this moment, but just checking to make sure she wasn't hurt or something, because I'm sure it was a pretty alarming sound. And then I'm imagining once she cried herself out, Peeta went in there and carried her up to her bed. And that was that. Or alternatively, he didn't hear her crying or anything, but at some point later, he came to knock on her door, see if she wanted to have dinner or something. And when there was no answer, he just went inside because they don't really lock their doors. He saw her just lying on the floor, thought, that doesn't look very comfortable, and put her to bed. And Peeta had just come home that day, and when he saw Katniss in the morning, she was pretty rough looking. Her hair was matted, she was unwashed, like she was clearly extremely depressed. He would be concerned about her well-being, so I don't think it's odd that he would just kind of come in and check on her if he knocked on her door and didn't hear an answer. So I think that's very possible. The only thing that gives me pause about this is there's really no other extra clues that Peeta did this. Suzanne's pretty good about sprinkling things in if she wants us to think something. If for sure Peeta's the one who carried her up the stairs or someone did that, I feel like Suzanne probably would have put a line in of Katniss commenting on that. There's nothing about it. It's just kind of fade to black on the floor and then she wakes up in her bed. But what do you think happened? I'm really undecided on this. I really like the idea of Peeta carrying her up the stairs, so I'm gonna stick with that and feel really emotional about it for a while, probably forever, but let me know what you think in the